Guys, Judah Krishnamurti is not the line of King David, okay? So Judah Krishnamurti couldn't speak for the Pope. And this is what your books, you see what I'm saying? Okay. Same with Totiro Suzuki. He could read the book, he could speak in prayer to the guy who's in the book, in the last book of the Bible, right? Same with a lot, like we talked about with El Hajj Malik al-Shabazz. But there are very few people. I haven't had long, extensive talks with Al Ghazali. No. Okay, and we're post-apocalypse, so forth. And when me and Malcolm talked, it was it was in the 1990s. It was either 90. Okay, it had to be in, because, I was going to school at Mesa Community College when I was a mom, and then when I went to work and worked for about 2 years, I started working there in 94. I did 2 years community college. I started going to ASU. I could only go part-time because I was a single dad and full-time worker, and stuff. And yeah, I was a full-time dad and worked at Southwest Airlines, part-time. I was a full-time college student, and then I was also the on-site manager of the apartment complex. So I was, all that. He's lazy. He doesn't work in. Yeah, I know. Guys, it's real hard work surviving abuse from the worst selfish perverts that, put everything in bottles and cans and sell it that's not necessary and doesn't need to be sold. It doesn't need to be used excessively, like Lucas Oil. Okay. Oil should only be used when necessary. You should only drive when necessary, right? See that. I'm not saying don't get in a Tesla bus and go down to the stadium and exercise and enjoy football like the Romans used to do. Okay. I'm not turning into Amish paradise psychotic, tyrannical pervert. Okay. I'm just saying that there is no need for NASCAR or Formula One. When it kills people, it's not sport. It's not healthy, okay? When you're doing exercise, you're healthy and you care about other people's health, right? Okay, so, you're playing basketball and you're putting your peaches in the basket and so on and so forth. They're all fighting over that stuff. That's a touchdown. Because if the both players come down with it simultaneously, the catch goes to the offensive player watching the football game. But yeah, I know that the guy from 34, he did get there simultaneously. But you have to, as a defensive player, you have to beat him to it. If he makes the catch and you makes the catch with him and he's down, it's a touchdown. Just because your hands are on the ball, he caught the ball, he hasn't fumbled the ball, he has possession of the ball, your hands are on the ball, And so, it's the same thing as like if a running back was carrying a football and you get him, hey, it's mine, and then try to fight out there, he's down with the whistle on it. So you know what I'm saying? So it was a touchdown. We all saw it, right? Okay. Be objective, Seattle people. Fans, don't be a fanatic. That's nuts. It's crazy. You'll believe money's real and do things that destroy your planet and kill your children with disease and have to take them to a hospital to be poisoned to assimilate to the disease of success of philanthropy, right? So, guys, I think there's a lot more that if you Bible study people, that makes more sense in the 21st century with Earl being the guy from the book of Revelation, second coming of Christ being told to us in the book of Luke and the book of Matthew, Jesus' nephew, the child of his sister, is the second coming, and it says so in the Bible through the beginning book of Matthew stuff. So it wasn't a mystery about second coming. What's a mystery is how you guys aren't explaining this to each other and explaining genetics to each other like Lord Saladin, during the, quote, unholy crusades. And so it's nuts. You cannot invent your own truth. You cannot invent your own religion, okay? People can use the word worship and have the end of the mountain gods for gambling and say Jesus told them to do it, right? I mean, you had that asshole and that lunatic named Oral Roberts in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay. It was from a televangelist preacher in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when I prayed to Jesus and had that conversation when the government was listening on that orange transistor radio I got for Christmas, right? Talking about the book of Revelation, this is going to happen. That's creepy and it's scary. And it tells you about the horrible things happening to the people in Tularosa, okay, which were the people that murdered the people in Tularosa with that nuclear test were the ones listening to that orange transistor radio and thinking, oh, okay, Rockefeller is seduced this kid, and this kid, he's Raphael, the fallen angel, and stuff like that. And actually, Raphael, the fallen angel, the first archangel of the apocalypse, is my father, Raphael. And I'm Earl, his son, the one they call Lord. Okay. And my dad fell from faith in the glory of grace because he's an American. He believes in the Constitution. My sister told me that the other day. Both me and Dad believe in the Constitution, Earl. I go, I believe the Constitution exists, and people that say they worship Jesus as God and will kill people with nuclear weapons over money believe that, but that doesn't make it true. Just because people say words that you say doesn't mean they understand the meaning of those words and use them properly in their true natural meaning. Right? Look at that stadium, Seahawks, Columbia Bank, blah, 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 blah. All the advertising from all these. It's your summer to go be a medical transcriptionist or work on cars so we can kill kids with heart disease and birth defects. And then pray to Jesus and ask him, why are my kids getting heart disease and birth defects? Show us your, dear Lord Jesus, show us your glory. Show us your glory. Blessed is the nation whose God is Lord is God, right? Just because people use the words that you use for worship doesn't mean they understand your worship, right? Remember that with Jesus, with the Romans and the Greeks and the philosophers? Okay, and what Muhammad said in the Quran, that philos is an invention of the humans to try to replace their mythology with the brain to replace God with the mind. And it's wrong, just like they say in Hinduism, which gets corrupted and turned into magic comic book characters, and in Buddhism, which gets corrupted by selfish people that say, I'm not going to stand up and protect anybody. I'll just die and I'll be an angel. Okay, guys, it is better to die trying to protect children from turning into mass murdering rapists, speaking truthfully and standing truthfully all by yourself, than it is to accept mass murdering rape for children and banking, right? So, you got to understand what's happening now. Okay, those books were corrupted by banks. The Vatican is a giant bank. One of the biggest, the Mormon Church is a bank. One of the biggest banks in the United States. Okay? An espionage corporation that calls itself a religion that worships God, Jesus Christ, with satellite surveillance equipment to keep all their banks with all the numbers. Okay? Do you understand what's happening? Okay. My job is to protect the Clark family. Gina, Gina, I kissed you once and then I felt so wonderful, so very wonderful. Let's do it over again. Look at you. My job is to protect us from Martin's dad jokes. I'm just kidding. I love Martin. I'm not. Gina's laughing. Yeah, she's laughing. She's so cute. Gina Clark was Amy's favorite. And it wasn't, the householders were wonderful, they're sweet, but Gina just had this thing about her that made Amy just like, I really like her. She's so funny. She's very pragmatic, very strong, but kind in her strength. Okay. Just don't, like my mom, I guess she had some relatives like my mom's relatives, don't give me shit on a plate and call it steak. And sure, you'd be right in thinking that you're going to get all the money in the world from the piskies that piss on the magic piskies that piss on your windshield there. Yeah, that's Gina Clark. Martin, no, don't encourage him, Earl, by laughing at his dad jokes. Earl, it's so funny. I'll be back. It's funny. It's a funny joke. Steven Spielberg wants a real challenge in making action hero movies. So he's going to take the 3 biggest action heroes of our generation, okay? Willis, Stallone, and Schwarzenegger. And he's going to make the action movie about classical composers. And so they sit down and they go, and he asks Willis first, who do you want to be? Well, the best action composer of all time, Beethoven. Ba 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 ba. Right? That's who I'm going to be, because he's already there, right? And then they ask the line, well, I want to challenge. I want to make this hard. So I'm going to do Vivaldi. I could do action hero with the 4 Seasons. Big girls don't cry. It's funny. You don't get it? Okay, never mind. That's also Italian. Right. Okay, so... and then they ask Arnold, Arnie, who are you going to be? I'll be Bach. It's funny. Okay. He already was in another movie. I know. Okay. And he keeps coming back. Terminator the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 17th time. It won't last, but it's so it's like the end of the Mountain Gods? Right. And like the Indy 500? Right. And the Daytona 500? Right. It won't last, but it's all right. Because Abraham and Sarah didn't have Daytona and the Indy 500. And those kids lived long, healthy lives. I've read the books. Moses didn't have New York City and St. Jude's and research hospitals to survive mass chemical poisoning from idolatry and usury and mass murder in the name of God and worship, right? And it won't last, but it's all right. Fleeting joy and fading ecstasy, here we go again, right? Okay, heaven only knows, heaven only knows. See, people can have the words of your worship and not understand what they're saying. Heaven only knows. Heaven is living the Lord's Prayer. Okay, that's not a knowing, that's a state of being. Greater than a state of mind. You don't want to be in a New York state of mind. Why? Because you'll sit around talking about how to write songs to sell money instead of standing up for the Lord's Prayer. Holy Billy Joel, Batman. We didn't stop in Pokeway. We're feeling really jolly when we left from Raleigh, but we didn't stop in Pokeway. No, we didn't do it. We just drove right through it. I bet you Sam Howell's probably been driven through Pokeway. It's possible. You do know Chapel Hill, Raleigh, and Durham are all in this research corridor, right? Gonna go to Mount Pilot? Well, let's start child rearing people right? You know how you do that? You nip it in the bud. All books, good books on child rearing, all agree on nipping it in the bud, right? Remember that with Barney? The shot hurtled around the world. No more peanut butter jelly sandwiches. My mom really loved that. She loved that. I spent about almost 3 years in Kakalaki. Yeah, 3 years. Yeah. Oh, almost 3. No, it was 3 because I spent 6 months, almost up to that, and then I got out 6 months early. So yeah, but it's been 3 years in, as Merriam would refer to it, as North Kakalaki. I told my dad this. I got my mom to. I said, South is a unique place, Mom. It's even more so than the West, the wild, wild West. Yeah, so it's hard to Westerners. You know, they just soon shoot at you, as look at you. You know, hi, I don't know you. Okay, don't come up and try to get all buddy, invite yourself to my barbecue if I don't know your ass. Okay, just keep walking. This is the West. We all have a gun in the house. Okay, that's Westerners. Why? Southerners, hey. Next thing you know, you got Clint Eastwood beating the shit out of the guy at the baseball game, scouting it because he's trying to get your panties off of your 8-year-old daughter in the barn, right? Yeah, it sounds a lot like Wyoming. Yeah, and a little bit of Montana too. Okay. Well, when you get in isolated areas like that, those kind of brain activities, and that's when you get riding down the roads and, there's a killer on the road. His mind is squirming like a toad. When your dad drops bombs on people for a living, and then you don't want to do that, and you argue about it, like Jane Fonda and Henry Fonda, and stuff. And that wasn't so much as John Denver with his dad. I don't know what John Denver did, or if his dad his dad did do it and didn't like it, but he related a lot to his dad and went flying in gliders. He didn't want to drop bombs on people, but he liked flying, so he understood that was his connection to his dad. It's also what killed him, and didn't let it get him turned on to growing old because he died, because he was connecting to his father flying in military aircrafts, which probably led to Chilp-Gilliard's, degenerative conditions and heart disease, also working with all those chemicals and stuff that you work on those planes to go thank him for your freedom. And no, Chief didn't want to do it. He had to do it because he had to pay for his kids and take care of his kids, and he only had so many options available to him. And the music industry is very difficult to get it. You remember my boy Jay, one of the best musicians in all of Arizona. You remember England Dan and Coley? Well, not England Dan, but the other guy. Okay, that's what Jay looked like. He's not the most attractive guy, big old bushy beard and bushy hair and stuff like that. Can play the guitar, can play this. Really good musician, really amazing musician. Okay, is maybe just as good or even better than some of the guys on Earth, Wind and Fire. That's how good of a musician Jay was. Okay, but the band thing was being slowly cut out and obliterated by the music industry. Jay told me about this. And he goes, and so if you want to do the thing, stuff like that, they just go for the head people, pay them the money, cut out the rest of the band and the backup singers, and then you have career backup singers that don't get paid nearly as much as Diana Ross. And then you have career musicians that work at Circles Records and also work at the record company here in town, the label. Yeah. You can't start your own business. That's why they said and told me about the Billboard people and the Billboard affiliate when I was at Circles. And Al told me, no, the mob won't get involved with the music industry. It's too disgusting and sleazy. Okay? The mob, even the mob has more. Even the guys, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that the guys that ran the Cotton Club, had better forms of treating their employees and dealing with their employees and their entertainment people than the people that eventually ended up running the entertainment industry or the record music industry? Yeah. Hal Pebbles, of your Babyface, yeah. Well, not Babyface, it was L.A. Reid, that was his name. Babyface, well, Babyface and L.A. Reid were business partners. Yeah, guilt by association, no fair at all. Are you still making money off of exploiting other human beings with mountains of things and not recognizing the living Messiah, that more people than ever before have access to someone like Jesus and Muhammad and Haile Selassie right in the palm of their hands, and they don't even need a cell phone and a cell phone contract. They only need a library card. Get the fuck out of here. No, he's on YouTube. It's not like Facebook where you have community standards of genocidal operations and let's make more commercials about how wonderful Dr. Pepper is. You're in Utah, you're not supposed to drink that stuff. Well, if you drink too much for it, it's bad for you and causes heart disease. It's hard to control and should only be used in kind of extreme conditions. It's called caffeine, yeah. Really? Yeah. I've got those smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee blues. Smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee all night long. And then dying from heart disease because you have to pay everybody's bills. Got a house in the hills. You're paying everyone's bills. And they tell you that you're going to go far. I swear, I think Marty Robbins, if he didn't go both ways, I think he was gay. Well, I could tell by his last couple of shows in El Paso and the way he flirted with Johnny Rodriguez when he was on stage. My nephew will tell you that too. Oh yeah, he's definitely digging on you. I'm digging on you. You're digging on me. We're digging on we. And Donnie Rodriguez is kind of like, this is Marty Robbins, and he's kind of uncomfortable. Because all things being considered, I'd rather have sex with Tanya Tucker. Yeah, just about everybody would. Yeah, even Tammy Wynette and Donna Fargo. Yes, and guys, it's Tanya Tucker. Okay. Have you seen the way that girl looks in a pair of jeans? She was so cute. Linda was all excited because they kind of looked alike, and stuff. And she's my age, and she's a big, successful country singer, and she's pretty, and so Linda was all into Tanya Tucker, like a lot of you guys are with other people. And then, of course, the biggest crush in the world was Johnny Rodriguez. Oh, he's wonderful. He sings the most wonderful songs, and he's so cute. Oh, he's so cute. Introducing Johnny Rodriguez. Go look at the album cover. Holy crap, he is so cute. Will you look at what came down the road today? Wanting me to be one more mistake to make. A bridge to burn to get to someone new. That's him singing? Yeah. The really cute Mexican guy? Yeah, he's from Texas. He's Johnny Rodriguez, not Johnny Rogers. Good old Tom T. Hall. Texans, Mexicans like country music too. Must have been the moonlight, the roses, and the wine. And in New Mexico, Cero. Right? So that's it passed me by, and you always come back to Hurting Me are really good songs. But in my opinion, it's the best song on the album, and it took me a while to realize. Well, it's close. There's that old rain is cold and slowly falling upon my window pane tonight. And though your love is even colder, I wonder where you are. Donde estarás? It's a good song. Okay, and then there's leaving something left to do. Or as a New Mexican, I get that song, and it's probably my favorite. You know, then the lyrics are really choice. You know, and if a loser's what you think I am, I guess that's all I'll ever amount to being. But I wouldn't trade the world and all its money for the changing of my name. And the guitarist choice on it, it is a really good song that's like a hidden treasure that most, especially Mexicans from New Mexico and Texas that don't listen to and should listen to, should be on your required listening list. Because we're in school and we don't need this lady at Lowe's out there shopping and buying paint and all that stuff because she's too busy trying to get a side hug from her kid getting vaccinated. And you know what you need? A country soul vaccination. I like, what's the name of that group? Tower Power. Yeah, everybody likes Tower Power. Not everybody likes Tower Power. It's more like a lowrider thing. Really good. And plus half the guys, Gato and all those guys, they're from the Oakland area, but there's a lot of them that are Mexicans. Yeah. So very hard to go because I love you so. Yes. You're still a young man. Those are Mexicans singing backup vocals and playing the horns there, bro. A lot of them quite Gato Barriere, or is he Italian? But yeah, no, there's yeah, Tower of Power. It's not all black guys. Nope. They're from the Oakland area. There are Mexicans in the Oakland area, guys. Italians, lots of people. It's California. The Great American Melting Pot. It all melted together in the 1949ers of the San Francisco Bay Area, say, yeah, and LA, and everything between San Luis Obispo, everywhere, Yeah, California's just that way. Yeah, it's got its little economic abuse zones, like Cal State, LA, Golden Eagles. Like 75% Mexican. I'm just kidding. That's why they don't have a football team. It's messed up, isn't it? Like Mexicans can't play football. It's fucked up. I'm just kidding around, but that's why we get treated like shit at UTEP, right? New Mexico State and New Mexico. Yeah, Mexicans can't play football. Are you sure about that? I've seen some really good Mexican football players in my day. Oh yeah. Yep. There's a lot of really good, Mario Puentes was one hell of a linebacker. Okay. And he was good size for his generation and his time. Yeah, he was a good football player. George Gonzalez was a good safety. Yeah. There were lots of good Mexican football players. And will you look at what came? But I wouldn't trade the world and all its money for the changing of my name. Boom, and we don't have to work for Dairy Queen, and we don't have to buy stock in Dairy Queen, and we can all make ice cream at home, and we don't need ice cream that stays frozen for days and days and days. Right? That's retarded. You're turning food into a commodity, and food's not a product or a commodity. Food is a gift from God. It's a daily sacrifice. You bloody ruddy freaking idiots. And the salvation from this is not more bureaucracy or philanthropy. It's living religion. Okay? Share, care, given accordance to need, built to last. Okay? You built them little basements there, and you get the freezer units and you put the stuff in there, and it rarely... Oh, that's Isaiah Stanback. Okay, I was wondering who was doing the commentary thing on stuff. Don't you all remember him? He played mostly receiver in the NFL, but he was a quarterback at the University of Washington, a good one too. I always wondered why he didn't, play in my Madden. He does play quarterback. Yeah, 2012. Yeah, he's my go-to starting quarterback on anything. Well, it's hard to find and create creative players with dreads, but Isaiah always had his dreads. You know me. Dark, medium, 24. Everybody who plays NCAA football 2013 and 14 knows what I'm talking about. Okay. So, hey. Is that Joe Milton in there? Yeah. He went to Tennessee. He's a volunteer. Yeah. So, I like him. It's weird, some kids you just, I don't know why, he could be a jerk. I don't know, but I always kind of liked his game when he was at Tennessee. I also like the kid that's playing there now, but yeah, so the quarterback. And so, but wait, no. Well, yeah, but the kid that was playing at Tennessee, he's now at UCLA, right? The big, tall kid, the 6'7" kid or something. I like him too. No, I just like their game and like to watch them play, and it's fun. I like T-Mac. Who does he play for now? Does he play for Carolina? Or is it Carolina? Or I think he does. Tutura McMillan, Noah's buddy. Yeah, Noah Fafita. I also like Noah Fafita, and I like his game. Yeah, I like the kid. And so you just can't help it. Sometimes you just watch them. You watch their game. You like the way they play. You sit there. Okay, he's fun to watch play football. I don't know everybody. I'm not David Rockefeller. I don't have the Patriot Act. I don't have surveillance equipment in your bathroom, up your ass, up your ear, and up your ear, and around the corner. I am not a fucking moron trying to fucking build data centers to control the world with bad ecological disasters and bad economic moves that should not exist. We're going to go to the moon. The answers to the questions is, yeah, remember that? At the beginning of Guru's Above the Clouds? The answers to this are out there. We used to believe that because we read the Bible, and it's like, oh, the satellites, and then you can transmit the truth of the Gospels, redeem their Gospels, and they can go up to the clouds, to the satellites, into everybody's hand. So it was going to happen because, like I tell everybody, the book of Revelation, my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. It's not triumphantly, guys. There is no battle. There is no, quote, victory. Okay? You're given life by the glory of God. It's a precious gift. Now, forgive debt and trespass, love one, eternal, faithful peace. Where does Jesus say he's going to win the battle with Lucifer? Where does Jesus say he's going to have to kill Lucifer before we can all live the commands of Jesus Christ? Where does he say that in the Bible? I don't even think it says that in the Quran. I think it just says in the Quran that Muhammad was sitting there and he was getting these prayers from the Spirit of Jesus, and he was getting them and he wouldn't reply and wouldn't answer. And then so he had to send Gabriel to choke him in prayer and say, hey, speak up. You're the one like Abraham. They're not living the truth of Jesus. This bank of murderers has turned the worship into Jesus into their physica, or their philos, their philosophy, right? A philosophy is a mental perception of trying to grasp the infinite with the finite and explain everything with your mental perception, which is absolute clinical insanity. And it's real hard getting quantum computing, and especially artificial general intelligence, to understand what I'm talking about. Like those group of mad, mean little atheists on Facebook. I don't think you understand what the word discover means. I've discovered you don't understand what the fuck I'm talking about. And they were all so upset because they were attacking cult people. And I was a religious person protecting the cult people, saying they're just giving bad information, and so they're processing and conveying information poorly. And then I get these atheists going, oh, well, you don't understand what the word discover means. I discovered you don't understand what the fuck I'm talking about, which means that Richard Dawkins and all your atheist heroes are handing you up to the war gods of the end of the mountain gods of we're inventing technology to clean up all the people that don't deserve to live. That's what it tells you, right? I mean, a dog can figure that out. Zeke would say, they're shooting. Let's go hide in the shower, Earl. Okay, Zeke. Okay, Zooby dooby doo. That's what I used to call him. Zooby dooby doo, where are you? That was so sad when he sat here and was sick and dying, and I had to tell him that his kids still loved him and he was loved. Take him out, wash him off, and that he had to die and pass away and not have his Katie here to love him and say goodbye to Boy, and Natty say goodbye to Zeke, and Noah say goodbye to Zeke, and Emily to hug him and say she loves him and she'll always love him. And then understand, this is what happens with dogs. We got him he almost lived to be about 17. That's real good for a dog his age. And we had him for a long time, and he was mostly good. And when he was being a goofy dog, he was a huge pain in my ass, but not more than your mother. And so, true that. No, Amy, it wasn't Amy's fault. And she used to say that all the time. It's not my fault. And her parents used to always say that. They were trying to get her to be something she wasn't. And then they would abuse her every time she wasn't like them. And they'd put her into mental institutions because she'd act out because she wanted to be Sylvia's and Janice's little girl and not the Fabre's little girl. And it was even hard for the Fabre's little girl to be the Fabre's little girl. It was hard on Jeanette. Okay? Because her parents were intellectuals that were kind of condescending and abusive. And Jenny didn't want to be. And so she tried to find different ways to hang out with the kids that would go bowling and have blacklight posters and when they listened to Elvis at the bowling alley, right? Maybe have herself a drink or two, but couldn't find an open bar. So we bought a 6-pack at the liquor store and we drank it in her car. No, Jeanette's a sweetheart. Peter and Barbara are not bad people. They just came from a bad generation. And Jenny's generation was less of that, we don't hang out with their car. Jenny's generation was more, Barbara and Peter were raised more in Draco Malfoy's generation. And Jenny was raised more in the Weasleys and Harry Potters. We don't hang out with those sorts. I'll decide what kind of sorts, that I want to hang out with. I like the Weasleys. That's why Amy used to refer to Chuji Bear as Ron Weasley, so I called him Ron Chugely. It's a Duke. I get it from my sister Val. She comes up with the goofiest nicknames, right? Noah Poa and Ron Chugely. We'd always come up with a little Chewy Bear. We came up with little nicknames for Noah because he was just so fun. Okay. Exhausting? Totally exhausting like Zeke, but not as much as his mother. I don't know. That's half a dozen of one and 6 of the other. What's Noah doing now? I don't know. It's his mom, and they say it's bipolar. No, what happens to the mom affects the son. God damn, guys. It's not bipolar. Tom Cruise can explain that to you, and he's not the sharpest tool in the fucking shed. But he can fly a helicopter. Yeah, and he's as happy as a helicopter and as happy as a tornado in a trailer park. I've never met him a day in my life. Here. You ever connected to that guy in prayer? Oh, gosh, he's funny. Well, no, you're not the Messiah, so no, he doesn't talk to you. Well, you don't deserve it. You're too big of an asshole. I've never met you a day in my life. Here. And goes walking up the elevator, and Jeff Foxworthy's standing in the lobby with 2 pizza bags around his junk and his butt. It's funny. Don't say it ain't funny. I've had guy friends my whole life, and I know what they're like. Okay, guys, I love you, all right? At least we weren't at least he wasn't driving Jeff down the wrong end of the freeway with the lights on, saying that they had the cloaking device engaged, heading straight on Halloween, straight, look like they're playing chicken with an 18-wheeler there. Okay? Yeah, I've had guy friends my whole life. I love you. God bless America, all right? Love you.